Hi guys, it's Sunday. I hope everyone's day is off to an amazing start. In this video, guys, Eric and I want to share with you our updated living room makeover.
Hopefully you enjoyed that living room reveal. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes of how we hung those 3 mirrors that you saw going across the wall here. So as you can see, you see the little green anchor bolts. We've taken down the old mirror and we purchased 3 new mirrors. They're down on the ground. We're going to get to those in a minute. And the issue we're having here is, and I think this is an issue a lot of people have, you buy a grouping of pictures and you want to line them up on the wall. And you want them to be aligned, you want them to be straight, but it can be difficult, especially if you're dealing with like heavy pictures. It's kind of easy with the light pictures, but these mirrors are pretty heavy. They're probably 20 pounds or so. So, to make this easy, we're gonna make a template, and it's gonna be real simple. We're gonna use really 3 basic tools. We're gonna use painter's tape. You're gonna have a sheet of wrapping paper. If you don't have any random wrapping paper hanging around, just go to the dollar store, pay $1 or wherever, just cheap wrapping paper, nothing fancy. A pencil, and then I'm gonna use anchor bolts. So step 1, usually when you are hanging pictures, you're trying to line them up with like furniture or the wall. So in this case, we're trying to line the mirrors up with this sofa, right? We want them to kind of be aligned with the sofa. So we're gonna use the sofa as our guide. And then what you'll notice on the ground here, I've essentially laid out the mirrors exactly how they're gonna look on the wall, right? So you're looking at the back of the mirrors, and this is how they're gonna hang on the wall. What I'm using to line up the mirrors is the sofa itself. So this mirror is lined up with that leg of the sofa. You see that? So that's where it's gonna hang. I'm using this leg as my reference. This mirror, I just did the same thing, lined it up with the other leg. Simple, no measuring. That's where I know I want my mirrors to be. With the third mirror that's gonna be in the middle, you can actually eyeball this, which is what I did. I just basically said, look, I basically want to center it. My wife said she didn't want them to be in a straight line. She wanted this one to be a little bit lower. So you see on the ground, it's a little bit lower than the other mirrors, right? So you can imagine, if I tried to figure out how to, can you imagine trying to hang all these and trying to figure out where to put these holes on the wall? That's gonna be pretty tough. Right, to get those lined up and get it straight and get it on the wall how I like it. So this is where the template comes into play. So that's gonna be step 2. All right guys, so for the next step, I've laid my template across the backs of my mirrors. And the purpose of the template, the wrapping paper, is to mark where I need to drill. This is the hook for the mirror, and that's where I'm gonna drill. See how that line is right on the hook, where I'm gonna hook it? Same thing over here. So this is where I'm gonna put my screws. This is my middle mirror. I put holes. I kind of had to fill around, but this is where that middle mirror is going to get screwed into the wall. And then this is the last mirror. So I made sure everything lined up perfectly on my wrapping paper, and I just marked where I'm gonna screw everything into the wall. All right guys, so as you can see, we've used painter's tape to tape the template onto the wall. We've got our holes marked from where we had the template on the ground on the back of the mirror, so I know exactly where to drill. There's no guesswork, I don't have to hang anything. And you'll notice, you might see a few rips in the paper. We actually moved the template around a few times just to adjust it and get it perfectly aligned with the sofa. But again, it's a lot easier to move the paper around than it would be to try to move the mirrors around. All right guys, so now we're just gonna drill some holes. Okay guys, so just to give you a little bit of an up close view, rather than using hooks to hang the mirrors, I'm using these anchor bolts. They're gonna be a lot more stable in the wall. And with hooks, it's kind of difficult and can be kind of tricky to get the lengths of the hooks just right when they're mounted in the wall and make sure that the mirrors hang evenly. But since these are just right at a straight point, it's easier to just get these right where I want them. And these are gonna be a lot more stable. All right guys, so just to recap, our goal here was to hang our 3 mirrors and not have to hang them and rehang them a bunch of times to try to get them even. So to do that, we made a template. To make our template, we used just dollar store wrapping paper. One thing I would recommend is you can actually make a couple of templates. That way, if you make a mistake or need to readjust, you can do that. We used painter's tape to tape the templates to the wall. And then rather than using hooks, we use screws and plastic anchor bolts because it's a lot easier to line up the screws than it is hooks. Now, as you're actually hanging the mirrors on the wall, on the screws, one thing you might think about, go to the dollar store and get just a pair of 99-cent gloves. Why, you ask? Because you're gonna be hanging this and trying to adjust, you're gonna get fingerprints all over it. And honestly, it's a pain to try to go back and wipe down all these little bitty tiny mirrors. So if you have on gloves, you avoid that, okay? So let's get rid of those. Now, you're gonna have some fingerprints. Again, we're gonna use the dollar store. So they've got the vinegar-based window cleaner. Use that to wipe down the mirrors. And then finally, one thing that really annoys my wife, all these stores put stickers, pricing stickers, labels all over the mirrors. Can be difficult to get those off. So use your goop off. You want to just keep some Goo Gone or goop off, whatever this is called, around the house. You can get it at any Lowe's or Home Depot or Ace Hardware. Just keep some of this around the house. You spray the labels, let it soak, and you can peel the labels off. Then you can wipe it down with the vinegar solution. Well, that's it guys. We hope you enjoyed this tour of our new improved living room. And until next time, stay unfrumpy.